guess now it's officially good afternoon. And I know I can hear people's stomachs grumbling because mine is one of them. So I want to be mindful of that and respectful of time. There are a lot of slides here, so I'm going to move through it quickly, but it is really for the collective to peruse after today. So my project was a little bit different. I had a goal of trying to elevate the culture and climate of mentoring at NC State. And so I had in mind a vision of developing a mentoring leadership academy. And so, you know, the goals there were to try to make mentoring something that is elevated and not a hidden commitment. We do a lot of this kind of things, you know, organically, sometimes behind the scenes, but it's not something that is recognized or rewarded as an activity that we do. And we do this with our colleagues, we do this with our students. And so the idea here was to try to hopefully set up something that looks at changing that culture and climate. And it's really about sharing the wisdom that we have and embedded in us with everybody to nurture and support our individual goals. And so the process that we used was I set up a steering committee. Oh, I'm not in slideshow mode. Yeah, let me get that up there. Dismiss. Now we'll get this right. Hold on. Yeah, bingo. Sorry about that all. So my process, and I'm very much about the process. I know I always tell my students that we have to get these deadlines done, but we try to develop a process because you spend most of your time in the process of getting to your destination. Obviously, it's important to get to your destination, but given that we spend so much time in the process, I wanted to make it enjoyable, informative, and learning. So my process for the MLA was we developed a steering committee and a planning group. This involved faculty and administrators across NC State in different colleges, all the way up to the provost level, because my goal is that if we were to develop an MLA, that it would be managed by the provost office. As part of that, there were lots of symposiums and interactions to exchange ideas. There was one on Immunity to Change, which is a fabulous book. I will mention that briefly. And then we had a symposium on the culture of mentoring at an R1 institution, another symposium that was led by a couple of administrators at another university that had a mentoring program. And then I did a survey of faculty mentoring in the College of Engineering. The reason why the journey is important to me, and I try not to think linearly. If you look at the designs that we do, and I'm just showing some pictures here of just simple waterways, they're usually straight, gets to the destination, when in fact, nature does not have that. It is much more interactive, an opportunity to transfer and exchange whatever between its surrounding environment. And so I know a lot of people I started thinking of as I got one goal, I want to, be a full professor, or I want to be a National Academy member. And it's always linear and one-dimensional, when in reality, the most enjoyable part of what we do is about the exchange that happens, the winding staircase, the opportunities to reach a certain landing and enjoy that opportunity. And so that is the process that we used here. We had several meetings talking about different things. I asked the committee about the one big thing that they would like to see in terms of prioritizing mentoring. Lots of valuable answers came from the steering committee about improving mental health for students and faculty, transferring skills. One interesting thing is that if our students were also better mentors themselves, that this would be a transferable skill that we can actually lead and be a showplace for a place that does that. So there was clearly value added to students and faculty. There was one thing, a book that I had read, and I thought this was important. I encourage all of you to read this. It's called The Immunity to Change. You know, it has this idea that change is hard and you have to change a mindset. And it goes through its systematically, developing what they call this immunity map, where you try to identify what's your improvement goal and what are the hidden commitments, the things that you're not doing to do that goal and you're doing instead. And then what are you worried about? Why are you doing those things? What's inhibiting doing those improvement goals? And so it's a wonderful process of that goals and behaviors are at conflict with each other. And I can't stress enough that if you have time, part of your summer reading is this book, because I think you'll enjoy it so much. Again, we had a seminar series that had wonderful speakers, including our very own Dr. Christine Grant. Some of you know her very well. And by the way, this is a video that is available on AGEP website, so you can view it at your leisure. But these 4 experts, I wanted to bring in people that talked about different aspects. Dr. Laura Lunsford talked about the science of mentoring. It is a science, folks, with expertise that is continuously being updated. And so I always thought that in the creation of an MLA, that it would be a opportunity to train and share new ideas, new best practices with those trying to do that so that we continuously improve. We had Dr. Christine Grant, who talked about that it's not, no one person is a guru of everything, and that you need a mentoring cabinet to address some of the different aspects that you are needing advice in. So she talked a little bit about that. We had Dr. Juan Gilbert, who talked about that mentoring is not one way. It is a two-way street, and that mutual mentoring. You will learn not only providing that wisdom to your mentee, but you will learn feedback to your back to you. And he talked a little bit about those strategies. And then finally, I had Manish Schneider talk about how do we assess mentoring more effectively. And she talked about the company that she's with, Kronos, and having a mentoring tool, and which actually inspired one of the members of the steering committee who was in the provost office. And right now, you may have received an email about at NC State about the Kronos tool, where you can sign up to be a mentor or a mentee and have that exchange. There are some challenges with it, and I think I'm going to be talking with them this summer about how to improve participation, because right now with roughly over 2,000 faculty that we have here at NC State, it is very unsubscribed, both on the mentor and mentee side. So we need to improve that. Also, we recognize that many people being mentored outside by people outside of the university, at this moment, I don't see a way that you can incorporate external mentors that might be valuable to your advice cabinet, so to speak. These were the 2 administrators from UMass Amherst that has a very nice mentoring program, and actually may have served as a model that I'm hoping that we might be able to use. And they talked about, again, reiterating the idea that there is no one guru, and that they advocate for mentoring at multiple levels, not only at the university, but all the way down to the department level, where most of the action is happening. And so I just wanted to give you that ride. The next set of steps is I'm going to be developing a protocol, a sort of like standard operating procedure that I will share with the steering committee and planning group, and then propose that to the provost office for consideration. Backup plan, the College of Engineering has a new dean. You may have heard about that, and he is very much about interactions and mentoring. And so I hope to discuss with him about at least a college plan in addition to what's happening in the university, as well as other colleges are thinking the same lines. And so being strategic, just in case I get the no from the provost office, we're still going to do this and be successful. Thank you for your time. Any questions? Questions out in TV land? That's what I always call it. Nope. Nope, yeah. Raised hand. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can get that open. Ah, yes. Henora, did I pronounce that?
Yes, Janora. Yes, thank you so much for the information. My question is really sort of twofold. You talked about the cultural climate shift as one of your goals. And really, one of the earlier slides, you had a bullet on there, something about, wanting to have a culture where academics seek mentoring, like wisdom and strategies. And I think that's where we all want to end up. But so in your efforts, how was that received? Because oftentimes the people that need to go to these mentoring trainings, they're really willing to go. So how, but then the ones that really need to go, right, they don't go. So what was that, what was that climate shift like for you? I know it's still in process.
Well, and this is something like actually another book I'm starting to read about how to properly incentivize activities so that they get participation. And that's a science in and of itself. I don't have a complete answer to that. It is a combination of trying to figure out what motivates different people. Some of it is extrinsic, some of it is intrinsic, internal, and trying to find that right balance and determine that for each individual. Well, what would it take for you to consider giving up some of your precious and valuable time to share that wisdom and knowledge that you have with somebody else, either whether it be a colleague or a student? I mean, this is a common question that I get, and it's still something that I'm still trying to uncover, but it has to do with the proper incentivization and something that's not going to, well, we're going to throw money at it, maybe we'll give release time and all of those kinds of things, and then it crowds out the intrinsic ones and say, well, are you saying that people won't do this unless they get money? And I hope that's not where we get to. But we have to figure out what that incentivization balance is. So it's still a thing I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, thank you.
Continue. Okay, thank you.